Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Regardless of your political affinities or inclinations, I think the 4 years of Trump presidency were, how should I say, very much beneficial to the common citizen. And regardless if you, as I said, if you look at Trump as being a rude individual or incompetent, the problem is that his 4 years in office uncovered a system. And if you were, or if you are at least, I would say 50, above 50 IQ, you could have seen that. That's one of the achievements without Trump's effort. So he didn't specifically or put an effort in this to show us how the connection goes around, what the dynamics between governmental institutions, politicians, intelligence community, and the mass media is. He calls all that in a certain way. I don't have to. You understand what I'm talking about. So if putting aside everything about Trump, that should have been at least, I don't know, 101 corruption and connection class. And that showed who's who, what's what, if you just paid attention. So I will use this video to bring up 2 little developments, or actually 1 development in Great Britain and United States of America, to show you how dishonest the US mass media is. And it's not dishonest because it doesn't know better. It's because they purposely do it, because they know they should not do what they did before. So that makes them dishonest and evil to a certain extent. Let me read you what happened here, and then you can realize that those times of Trump in the office, the mass media's questions and challenging his policies, which is excellent. That's what you do. But the problem is the same issue that was under Trump was not taken up to by the mass media during Biden, and it's the same thing. It's just a little bit a name of a country. So we have this article from Sputnik, and it is from today, the 31st of December 2022. UK introducing COVID-19 testing for travelers flying in from China. I have to tell you that the United States implemented the same thing yesterday, where they said the same thing, that passengers coming from China will have to have a COVID testing policy. They have to undergo this thing. Now, remember when Trump administration decided to, due to the high rate of coronavirus cases in certain kind of countries, in this case some of them from the Arab countries, he was called day and night continuously by the mass media racist and all that, xenophobic and all this, and intolerant and all that. And he said, well, I'm using it because it's I don't have anything with the Islamic states. That was Islamic states, not the Arab states, or Islam. He said, I don't have anything with the Islamic states. It's just that those countries that happen to be that Islamic, they have a high volume of coronavirus death and cases, so we have to protect our citizens. And to me, everything sounded logic, unless you all you have in your mental toolbox is racism. And then you look at everything and you use, like, that saying, if all you have in your toolbox is a hammer, you will find a nail everywhere to hit. The same here. If you look at the life through that perspective only, any policy, you will say that's what it is over there. The problem is, these guys proved that they are situational. Therefore, they did that to Trump. But now, this administration does what, again, a logical person would do, or administration would say, well, China experiences a high volume of coronavirus cases, we should protect ourselves. Correct? Correct. So I think it's the same logic as the other ones. The problem is these guys, the same guys who 3 years ago, 2 years and a half ago, were calling Trump this and that, and they were arguing with him, and they were calling names for the same policy of protecting us. They don't say a squeak right now, nothing. They don't equate that with xenophobia or racism or nothing. So that tells me, at least not tells me, I don't have to be convinced about that. But I think for the weasels of the world that still believe that, this and that, the mass media is impartial and it's a free world and free, at least they should have the ability to see this. And I suspect that they see it, but they are so dishonest that they, I think, cross a little line into a different kind of realm. Because if you know that you did it, but now you keep your mouth shut and don't denounce those reports and those so-called, media people asking the questions, which is fine to ask the question. But remember, they call that guy Trump names for something that they made a connection in their brains. And they kept saying that. Here, these guys do the same thing. Just come over here. We're going to test you. Only you. Only you. They're not going to test the Romanians. It's not going to, and that means they're only not going to test the Africans from the continent. Only the Chinese. Sounds to me a little bit like singling out China. No, don't you think? I mean, if we judge the situation the way they judged it during Trump, they should be full of the words that they used 2.5 years ago. But they don't use those words. So that tells me that they know exactly what they did, and they know exactly that they are hacks. That's what they are, activists. So, as I said, I don't have to be convinced, because I was convinced a long time ago. The last drop for me to believe or to trust the Western mass media was the 1999 attack on Yugoslavia by NATO. There were so many lies, interpretations, and I was just angry every day. Let's put it this way. I couldn't read the news because these guys, I said, at that time I still believed that the United States and in the system and democracy, strong and so on. But that for me it was like a mask that just fell, boom, with that. I said, that's impossible. That's not fair. That's not honest. It's not objective. You guys are just working for the whomever. At that time I couldn't figure out who exactly is, and I blamed obviously the leaders of certain countries. I didn't know it was way behind. Behind them it was the intelligence services, was the military industrial complex, it was the banking system, it was all those weasels. What we see in Bill Clinton, or what's his name, Sir Tony Blair, it was just the tip of the iceberg, but they exposed themselves over there. So that was for me then. I didn't have any. And then it was obviously the September 11, how these guys looked at it. Why did they attack us? Remember this? I'm still like, why did they hit? Why did they attack us? And they are weak. Okay? And they attacked them. And you got the answer, another weasel over there on the panel. They attack us because they hate our freedom. Yeah, and everybody got an agreement. They was like, how many millions you guys make? And you influence how many people? So anyway, there was another, they hate our way of life. I think that you just got stick your big fucking nose in their way of life, and now they're unfortunately commit acts of terrorism. Maybe you should act differently. Anyway, not blaming the US population or anything. I'm just asking questions regarding, you gave that answer as if that was the only answer. No, there were many other answers that they didn't want to touch. So anyway, in this case, no calls of this and that, which tells me that these guys know exactly what they did over there was wrong, because they keep their mouth shut here. Or at least were right there, and then they're wrong here. Either way, it's still their weasels, and they know it. But it means they do something, they harm something, which is our intelligence and our information that they're supposed to provide us with. with their interpretations that try to skew these are the good people, those are the bad people. Acting the same way, just a little nuance. And this, I would say, is even more, how should I put it? I don't want to say discriminatory, but, it shows more that this government is doing what they accuse the other government of doing. But hey, in the name of safety, okay, do it. But call it as you call the other one, no? All right, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.